just make sure once that the screen is visible. Is the screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. The slides are visible, ma'am.
Okay. Is it on full screen? Make sure.
Yes, ma'am. No issues, ma'am. Just fine.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Thank you again today for your kind introduction. As every time you have been so nice while introducing me. So thank you. And here I welcome all the participants for today's session on leadership skills for teachers. And if you see the slide, the very first slide, I have mentioned here something that is lead to change. Now, the entire presentation, we will be talking about several things in context with leadership, teacher leadership, skills, and all. But then let me just clarify here very first the objective of today's session. And the objective is to make you people understand and discuss with you all, because you already know I mean, this is not a very new area for us. What are the leadership skills? To some or to the greater extent, we all are aware about leadership and leadership skills. But may be possible that we don't have in-depth knowledge regarding teacher leadership skills, the other advanced traits of leadership. So in today's session, what I have decided that we are going to understand the basic concept about leadership skill. What is it? Why is it important? What are different traits of leadership skill? And then further we will discuss in the rest of the presentation teacher leadership. Now, I'm sure that all the participants today in this session, you all belong to, some field of academics, maybe schools, maybe colleges. And if you are not teaching anywhere, so no need to worry, no need to just be anxious that yes, we are not into teaching field. Why? Because to some of the greater extent, we all are teachers. In this journey of our life, we all play a role, different roles, and out of these all roles, we play one major role, that is of teacher. So we are the part of this process of teaching, learning, whether we are teaching in some institutions, organizations, or not. So sometimes we teach, sometimes we learn. So very much these things are with us. This is part and parcel of our life. Now, here in this session, as we are going to discuss about leadership skills, so please understand there. I mean, first of all, let's try to see what is it, what is the leadership, and what is leadership skills. So, a leader is the one who has different sense beyond himself. So this one line I would like to repeat for you all, that the leader is the one who has different sense beyond himself or herself. Now, what does it mean by having different sense beyond himself or herself? That means a leader is the one who zerofies himself. And this is the only way a leader becomes a greater personality or a greater motivator, inspirer to the whole world. So, because you might have observed in the real life situations the people who become so hypocrite about themselves, who just do so much pomp and show, or who believe in blowing their own trumpet that I'm a leader, I'm the owner of this organization, I'm an entrepreneur. So, with such idea and with such blowing of their own trumpet, you lose your faith and belief in those people. So, what is required? A leader is the one who is honest enough, who believes in himself, who takes up the company, and who always, I mean, for whom the team is more important than himself. But beyond all these things, one thing makes a great leader, a person a great leader, and that is his sense of thinking or keeping himself beyond all the minor and the trivial aspects of life. So if somebody is entangled in the trivial, in the minor aspects, minor things of the life, the fellow can never be a great personality. So, in the line, I would like to say that a good leader has knowledge and also has the zeal to share that knowledge and to be determined also to bring out the changes. So generally, we have misconceptions that yes, somebody who is expertise of his or her field, somebody who is so much knowledgeable, that fellow is a is leading in his field or a leader. It is not so. Knowledge is very important. One has to have knowledge. Like, if I'm delivering a session on leadership skills, definitely I should have knowledge. If you are part and parcel of some other task or the, project, then you should have knowledge of that particular area. But just having that knowledge is not sufficient. Now, what is more required? One thing, that is zeal to share that knowledge, spread that knowledge, and more than that, determination, the willpower to bring out, to spreading that knowledge and bringing out changes, not only in oneself, but in others, in society, in nation as well. So this is the basic idea I have tried to develop in your minds regarding a leader. Let's move forward and try to understand, because the presentation is a little long, so I would be little quick wherever I find that yes, I should not stop so much here. So please bear with me, and wherever you have any doubt and query, note it down. We will discuss at the end of the session. So generally in our life, we play two different roles. One is the internal and second is external. Everyone is having some idea about this concept. So the internal role is regarding, what role we play in our family, with the friends, with the peers, and there we set some benchmarks and we become motivators or we inspire others to follow us. In the same way, we have external role to play in society, like in society, in various societal organizations. It can be a school, it can be a college, it can be an industry, it can be a company, it can be anything. A simple store or the shop also. So in those organizations, we we again play a role of a leader and we set some benchmarks and others follow us. So moving forward with this idea, now here is one slide for you all which show you some images, and these are the images of Mahatma Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, Steve Jobs, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. All these are the well-known faces to us. But see, when we talk about these faces, we know they are leaders. This is the reason I have kept them, and I have given space to these faces in my slide. Now, these leaders have taught us so many things. Now, this is not a new idea which I am going to comment upon in this session. But see, they are not only they are not the only leaders, but there are several other leaders whose images have not been given space yet, because we don't have that much space. We cannot discuss all the leaders of the world, whether it is from society, the field of society, economy, politics, and the other areas. So I have kept a few images, and out of this, I would like to discuss Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Now, if you know, you know so much about this man. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, he doesn't require any introduction for us. How did he complete his life journey, belonging to a very poverty stricken space or the society. Okay, he was coming from a very, very lower strata of the society, and then he completed his life journey by becoming a missile man, a scientist, resident of India. So we know him very well, right? And so many quotations we usually read about teachers, about teaching skills, learning skills. So, in his lifespan and after his death, that is posthumously, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam has been teaching us everyday basis. This is the reason I would like to add here something, that the teachers, in the first of all, we'll just let's have some words of APJ Abdul Kalam only, who said once that a good teacher can inspire, hope, ignite the imagination, and instill a love of learning in people. So yes, very, very true words of APJ Abdul Kalam, and we agree with that. But more than that, what I am trying to and what I am willing to add here, that teachers, not only have one responsibility of teaching, giving instructions, handling with the kids in the classroom, along with that, they have a greater responsibility of creating and developing leaders. Leaders out of the students, out of their own teaching fraternity, and even out of the society. So, this greater responsibility, why this greater responsibility is important? Because if we observe very carefully and in some spiritual mode, that we know that nobody is an immortal being. These fellows, these figures, I mean, whose images are here, they were also great leaders of the time. But what happened? Because they like us, they were also mortal beings and they passed away. But because they did something in their lifespan, they spreaded so many ideas of leadership, they created and developed so many good personalities. And now those personalities are passing on their knowledge to the coming generation, developing other leaders. So this is a never ending process. So, despite of all other facts, one greater responsibility of leaders is that to prepare, to develop, and to create new leaders. Now, in this line, let's see some of the traits of leadership as explained to us by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and not if not by Mr. Kalam, then by they are very common traits. Some of them are very common traits, and some of them are the advanced traits of leadership, which we are going to discuss. But before that, I'm going to read a few lines to you all by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And the lines are like, I climbed and climbed, where is the peak, my lord? I flow and flow, where is the knowledge treasure, my lord? I sailed and sailed, where is the island of peace, my lord? Almighty, bless my nation with vision, sweat resulting into happiness. Now, I don't know how do you read the text, but then I, being the student of literature, I tell you one thing: when you read any text, you can pick out the important words, nouns especially, and if you can defigure these nouns, decode these nouns, these important words, if you can dissect them and interpret them, you can easily catch the meaning. So these are very simple lines written by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, but these lines, this poem, gives us the whole idea about his leadership skill. So one is happiness. If you can see the last word is happiness. He is praying for the happiness and well-being of his entire nation. Now, nation, it was his, some like, we all report in the organization. Now somebody is my boss, he's my director, executive director. So for Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the nation was one thing. Okay, the nation was the boss. The nation was the higher person in the hierarchy, higher authority in the hierarchy to whom he used to report. Okay, and he here also in these lines he is praying for his nation, for the well-being and happiness of his nation. Can you imagine one thing? This shows the greatness of his personality. So the people, I mean, let me take one example of Mr. Elon Musk, who is the you can say the richest man this time. Now if we take up his biography and if we learn more about his life experiences, then definitely he will also inspire us, but only in one field, and that is money minting field. How to mint money in present day, that can be easily told to us by Mr. Elon Musk. But it is not, I mean, a good leader never teaches and never develops us in only one field. A good leader teaches and develops us overall, holistically. And this man, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, is one. So he has here, if you see if you interpret the poem very carefully, you will find that he has zerofied himself and he has seen his nation above himself. Can you imagine? Like something, my organization is more important than me. My nation and my society is more important than me. I am nothing. I'm just a mere person, a mere, a member of this particular organization. So this, giving more importance to the team, giving more importance to the organization, your society, your nation, it shows the greatness of one's personality, and that makes a person a good leader. The other traits are also found here. If you see very, carefully, that he talks about the hard work, that yes, a leader is a hard worker, and he says I flow and flow. So I can, work as much hard as is required, but then what I require the well-being of my nation. Then he also talks about knowledge, that knowledge is very important. As I mentioned initially, that knowledge is one thing which should be there, that the knowledge expertise should be there in a leader, but at the same time the zeal of spreading that knowledge is also required. And then he also talks about the island of peace. So peace, harmony, right? So the process of achieving things, process of achieving greatness and success, if that happens, or at this stake of peace, harmony, love, fraternity, brotherhood, then it is not acceptable to the great leaders like Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I hope I could enlighten you a little bit about the leadership ideas. Let's see some more things here, some traits of leadership. As I mentioned, that a leader needs to be honest and sincere. He should care for others. He should have logical reasoning while doing any project, any task. He should also take ownership. I mean, being accountable. Whatever he or she does, a leader does, they should take the accountability. It is not that, I am the leader and I am the owner and I'm saying no. I'm sorry. I mean, like something, some mishappening occurs, and I say, I'm sorry. At the end, that no, I'm not accountable. This happened because of my team member. So this is not acceptable. A leader has to take the ownership. Leaders should have the good physical and mental health. That is well being we were talking about. So one can only expect and pray for others' well being if one has good well being of about himself, has already worked on his own mental and physical health. A good leader should empathize with others. That is, understanding the real and the accurate situation of the other people. So you are a leader and you just always talk about yourselves, and you do not know what is happening with your team members, what crisis they are going through, why they are not coming up with the ideas. You want to make them more accountable, but they are not taking, or they are not ready to take that accountability. So this shows that you are not empathizing. You are only blowing your trumpet. So that empathy is, it's not being louder. Empathy is not just going and showing your concern. Empathy is clearly understanding the situation and then taking actions accordingly. So that's needed. Yes, a good leader should have self confidence, very important. If somebody's self esteem is low, that shows very the bad aspect of a personality. Then objectivity. So despite of having subjectivity towards any issue in the life, a good leader should have objectivity. That means, I mean, let's take up one example of a doctor. Somebody is a doctor, and he, like, one particular day he has patient from his own family, somebody close one, right? Maybe children. And that time, if the doctor becomes subjective and thinks or treats the patient as a child, as his own child, what would happen? You all know what would happen. He won't be able to operate. He won't be able to check and, medicate properly to this patient, because that is not a patient for him. That is a relation. That is a close fellow for him. And he won't, because in subjectivity comes. So wherever, maybe in the authorship, in any profession like doctor, police, writers, in any profession, the subjectivity comes, it always hamper the process. So a good leader should have objectivity. Yes, he needs to be a good communicator. He needs to be assertive, very positive in his approach. And I would like to share a quotation with you all, that in life, if we want to gain success, two things become mandatory, and one is positive approach and the other is consistency. And I myself truly believe that if one is positive and consistent enough, definitely one will get success in life. Then we have the technical competency. We know we are surviving in the age of artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics. So in this time, technical competency is not, I would not say that bit required. It is very much required. You know. So these all are the common traits of leadership. Then we have some advanced leadership traits. Let's see. Vision is very important. One leader has to have vision. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, when he was a poor boy, he didn't have many sources with him to study, to, excel in life, but still he had vision to do something big. To do something big with the science and technology. And later on, as you all know, that he became, or he is considered as missile man of the nation. So what made him missile man? What made him do so good in the field of science and technology and then further in the field of politics? Vision. So if we don't have vision, then definitely we won't be having power, strength, support from the surrounding to excel. So vision is very important, and a leader has to travel the unexplored path. A good leader always travel the unexplored path means, I mean, some areas which are not explored by the other people. The common people doesn't, they don't explore so much. They always believe in a very mediocre lifestyle and they are very happy with that. This mediocrity can never make a good leader happy. So explore, he does the adventures and try to get new information. Managing failure, very important. Managing success can be done by anyone, but managing failure is only the task which can be taken up by the great personalities. We should be courageous in decision making, very important. Every moment in life, we have to make decisions. This slide or that slide. Should I include this point or that point? Should I delegate this task to this fellow or that fellow? Should I do this by myself? What should be the deadline of this particular task? So what happens every time we have to make decisions? And for making decisions, courage is required. A timid, a kind of meek fellow can never make decisions. So this decision making ability makes a person a good leader. Now, nobility in management, yes, management everyone does, but some people does it with corruption, some people does it with nobility. So if what is required for a good leadership aspect, that the management should be done in a very proper, assertive, appropriate, and noble manner. Team is everything, as I mentioned previously. Team is everything for a leader. A leader needs to be approachable. A leader cannot say that I'm sorry, I don't have time, I'm busy these days, come some other day. No, I am available. Say. So you cannot put your status like, busy. You will have to put your status like I'm available, approachable. And this approach should be on ground level. Then a leader needs to be creative, very important. Now, what is creativity? How to unleash the creativity? Let me just tell you that creative, to be creative means doing a simple thing very differently, like anything, maybe preparing a presentation, delivering a presentation, taking up some task in your school in college, then some, like, some speech delivery happens, task is given to you, maybe some you have been the part of some committee, you have been asked to take up some decision, like whatever, XYZ. When all these things, what is required, if you are thinking differently, if you are thinking out of the box, you are creative, and if you're putting the same thing into action, you are creative. Strong in process, very important. So the fellow has to be strong in process and forgiving, very, very important thing. That a good leader has to be forgiving and forgetting what has happened and forgiving what, I mean, people do so many things, but if we keep those in our memory, that hamper our healthy process of success. Now, these are also some of the advanced skills. I will only be naming them out. Time management, delegation, managing conflict, persuasiveness, negotiation, giving autonomy and authorship, show your passion, explain the why to people, and help them develop. So we don't have much time to discuss all this because the session is on teacher leadership. So we will move forward. Now, the aspects which we have discussed till now, the traits. Now, you might be feeling that, yes, I'm a good leader. She has told us about the common leadership skills, some advanced leadership skills, and I'm a leader. Yes, we all are leaders. We all are good leaders. But just ask one question here to yourself, that are you a teacher leader? You are a leader because, yes, you are leading in your family, you might be leading in the society, some or the other point of other places. But are you a teacher leader? Are you a change maker? Are you a trend setter? So let's see in the further slides. Now, this from this slide onwards, we will talk about teacher leadership. I'm sure you are a little bit, I mean, you have been enlightened with the ideas and traits of leadership skill. Now, let's see what is teacher leadership. So, this concept of teacher leadership started in the year 1990, and there are many definitions of teacher leadership, and some definitions are here before us. So, if we see the first definition, in the words of Hand and Penule in 2013, they said that, sorry, the concept of leading and teaching are so intertwined that every teacher is a leader and every leader is a teacher. The art of leading students is one of the greatest challenges faced by today's teacher. Now, the process is intensified in a present setting where the environment for blending leadership practice is very complex. Very nicely, they have explained, and we also believe that every teacher is a leader and every leader is a teacher. So, I mean, these two are very much intertwined things. They are very much, interconnected concepts. A teacher is a leader and a leader is a teacher, and we will not talk so much about this because I have already created a base for you to understand the leadership idea. Moving forward with the next definition of York, Barr, and Duke, which was given in the year 2004, according to them, teacher leadership is the process by which teachers, individually or collectively, influence their colleagues, principals, and other members of the school communities to improve teaching and learning practices with the aim of increased student learning and achievement. Now, through this slide, I think you have got the clear cut idea that teacher leadership doesn't apply in the classroom only, where teacher leads students or handles students. Other than that, a teacher also influence colleagues, principals, and the other members of school community and work for the welfare of the school organization. So I hope we are clear about these the definitions. But then after reading or getting some idea out of these definitions, we also need to talk about the misconceptions of teacher leadership. That there is a big misconception that a teacher lead in the classroom only and teacher instruct the students. No, it is not the only thing. Many new teachers are asked to meet the experienced teachers. Why is it so? So that the experienced teacher can lead the newcomer. Other than that, teachers also share their resources, ideas to learn plans, and doing so, they are showing to be the teacher leaders. Now, in this way, we can say that there are four major characteristics of teacher leadership. What are they? One is they lead within and beyond the classroom. They identify where they can contribute to the community of teacher and learners. Third one, they influence others to improve the educational practices. Very, very important one. And in the further slides, I will explain this idea that they influence others to improve the educational practices. And the fourth one is they accept responsibility to achieve the outcomes of their leadership. Outcomes, yes, what they are teaching, how they are leading the classroom, and how they are influencing and persuading other beings, so they achieve the outcomes as well. Now, moving forward, we see after understanding the basic idea of teacher leadership, let's see what teacher leadership is actually on the ground level. So, it is a way of organizing learning, understanding the connection between the knowledge and practice. Both are important, as I mentioned, knowledge and then practicing the same. Combining the explicit and tacit ways of knowing. And it is also a way of learning the skills, abilities, and capacities for developing and nurturing community among peers. It is a way of negotiating the tensions between privacy and a new view of community. Now, there are four major conceptions of teacher leadership. If I talk about, one is you can see here the participative leadership, organizational leadership, distributed leadership, and finally we have parallel leadership. So, far as concerned, the first one, that is participative leadership, I would like to say that it is a very unique kind of leadership. We also call it democratic leadership, and participative leaders, they guide their employees while encouraging them to provide feedback and participate in decision making. The other is the organizational leadership. Now, this leadership usually work in the organization where where somewhere centralization of the work is required, somewhere decentralization is required, distribution and delegation of the work, distribution of the task. So this leadership works in organizations. Then we have third one, that is distributed leadership. And this distributed leadership, it is a conceptual and analytical approach to understanding how the work of leadership takes place among and where does it take place among the people and in the context of the complex organization. So it is very much related with the above one, and that is organizational leadership. Finally, we have parallel leadership. It is a process whereby teacher leaders and their principals engage in collective action to build capacity. So this is this parallel participative where you only participate. Organizational and distributed, as I mentioned, it works in the organization. And parallel leadership where I mean you parallelly work with your authorities and your subordinates. So you yourself. I mean, parallel leadership is more, I think popular because you are there. You are a team member than a leader, and you don't show that you are a leader. Now, finally, we may read York, Barr, and Duke lines that the emergence of teacher leadership would seem to be more likely when these forms of leadership are present in the surrounding context of the practice. Very important. And we have discussed that, if some things are not in practice, then any kind of concept that's not going to work for us. Now, let's see who are the teacher leaders. Teacher leaders are those who demonstrate high levels of instructional expertise. I mean, they should have expertise and they should demonstrate that expertise, as we discussed previously. They should collaborate. So there are two words, collaboration and collaborative. It is same that they should work in the collaborative manner. It's not they are working in the alienated manner. So collaborative manner means working with the team. Reflections, yes, they need to reflect upon the issues in very appropriate manner. Whatever comes to them, they need to have a proper researcher point of view, researcher's mind to look at the situations. A sense of empowerment, very important. They need to be empowered, and every moment they should empower themselves to become leaders. Then they need to be competent enough. I mean, the teacher leaders are very much competent. They are empowered one. They always work in a collaborative manner. They are the credible people, and they are known for their credibility. People vouch for them because of their credibility. And very important is they are the, or they should be the model effective practices. I'm going to talk about this point after mentioning all these. Next point is the teacher leaders. They are the mentors, or you can say mentor new and the struggling teachers. Mentor, I'm sorry, I could not speak it properly, but basically the teacher leaders mentor or motivate the struggling teacher. The struggling means the newcomers. So it's not that they are, as I mentioned previously, they are talking only about themselves, but they basically develop the struggling teachers, struggling subordinates. Now, they conduct professional development activities. Yes, they be the part of PDPs. We call it PDPs, professional development programs, and they conduct it also, like webinars, seminars, FDPs, and some workshops, some refresher programs. So they be the part and they conduct. And they raise the level of collaboration in schools. Now, I have mentioned a school, it can be school, it can be college, because college is also a school. Because school is like, a place where teaching learning activity takes place. So it takes place in the colleges also. So this is one word which denotes school, college, and any other academic organization. They lead school improvement efforts, yes, and they advocate for the needs of students very well said, and have strong teaching organization and interpersonal skills. So they should have good interpersonal skills, good communication skills, good negotiation skills that makes them leaders. And finally, they should be the role model for other students, teachers, colleagues, and other members of the organization. Now, when I say that, see, role model, how they are going to be the role model if they model the effective practices. And why modeling these effective practices become important? Because if they perform the effective practices, be the part of effective practices, this is needed to improve student outcomes. So you can understand the overall chain why the teacher leaders should behave and perform like role models, because how they can be role models, if I say like this, they can be role models if they perform effective practices. Now why these, please keep on asking questions to yourself, why they need to perform the effective practices? Because this is needed for the improvement of student outcome. Now you may ask me a question that, ma'am, how the student outcome can be improved, and what kind of the effective educational practices can be applied or performed for that? Let me take up one example for you all, and that is action research. Action research means action. You all might be aware about this. Let me just brief you what is action research. Action research is one which allows the teachers to look around instructions and practices and also ask what they can do better. So basically, action research is the one which doesn't require any finding and implications. And without any finding implications, teachers apply this, teachers look around, collect the data, and work upon that. And finally, they come up with some conclusion. So that is action research. Then, in this, what happens? Teachers try new ideas to help their instructions and collect data about new ideas to be successful. As I mentioned, that new data is collected, new ideas are applied, and every time you become experimental. So you can understand action research as an experimental research also. You keep on doing experiments with your students, keep on implementing something for inculcating certain habits in the students. Now, this the questions here in action research are in yes and no form. Three elements become very important in action research. One is the content, second is the statement, and third is the method. So the content, statement, and method. And I again repeat for you all that findings and implications are not important in action research. Let's move forward and see the qualities of teacher leaders. Now, there are several qualities, but some of these pointers are repetitive pointers. So, I have highlighted the important areas which we are going to cover here. That the teachers or teacher leaders should have extensive knowledge of teaching and learning, curriculum, and content area. As I mentioned previously, they should have their subject expertise. They should be the lifelong learners. It's not that only for one class, like tomorrow I have a class of science, physics, literature, I'm preparing for that. No, they should be lifelong learners, and this will give them better connectors to uh, use in the classroom as examples. And this will enlighten students in more appropriate manner. They should be enthusiastic for teaching. I mentioned in the very first slide that the good teacher leaders or only any kind of leader should have knowledge and zeal of spreading that knowledge, and then determination to bring the change. So this is one of that they need to have zeal and enthusiasm for teaching. They should be interested. They should not be disinterested. Why I'm taking up or focusing on this point? Because most of the time we have observed that the people who have not done anything or who could not achieve in the other areas, they say that I didn't have any other option, so I have become a teacher. Please don't say like this. Don't do that, because this way you are spoiling your career. You are spoiling the career of the young, this budding generation. So don't do that. If you ask me personally, I would answer that I always wanted to be a teacher. Teaching is my passion. Something happens to me when I enter in the class or when I start a session. So I found myself, a bit good communicator, and I thought that I can communicate well, I can motivate people well. Initially, teaching was my passion, and now motivation or motivating others is my passion. So I know I'm very clear what I have been doing, and what I'm doing is I always intended to do that. So whatever profession you take up, please have good intentions towards that, intend to be part of that profession, not just by force. Now, one more point which is important here, the quality, that is cognitive and affective flexibility. Yes. So, what is the cognitive and the affective? What are these words? Cognitive, it talks about the memory level, something which is there in the mind, and affective is related to heart. There are basically three skills we all know: cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor. So, all these three are required to teach and to learn, basically, to learn. So here they need to have this flexibility. It's not that they become strict and very rigid at these particular areas, or while teaching or making others understand or learn. So they should be little flexible. The teachers should be little flexible. Now next is they should influence school culture through relationships supportive of colleagues. So the school culture can be developed, can be evolved in more better manner if teachers are determined. So a good teacher leader is the one who influence the culture, who improve the culture of the school or the college with the help of other colleagues. They should be able to handle the conflict, okay, taking the pressure, handling energy, handling conflict. Now, these three areas are very, very sensitive areas these days. I have seen personally some teachers, like, shouting at their colleagues, or most of the time students, because they are younger than them. If we try to understand psychology in families and outside the families, in schools and colleges, what happens is those people who are younger than us, those people are little, weaker than us. Weaker in the sense, not in other sense, weaker, physically weaker, biologically weaker. We always try to, overpower them. So this happens in teaching also. I have seen, teachers are baffled and puzzled and frustrated, due to some other reasons, personal reasons, and there's this frustration, comes out there on the students, and this is not good. Then what is required? One big thing is required. That is, they should know how to handle conflict. First of all, they should know how to handle their own energy. I should know what is my body, what is my mind, how to handle my energy, at what point I should stop myself, till what point I should raise my voice, at what point I should ignore the things. You should know completely yourself. Introspection is very important here. Then they should know how to handle the pressure. Pressure is there. Now, what is pressure and what is stress? uh, a bad time management leads a person to stress. This is one common thing we call. And just not doing the task on time, or not understanding the things properly, not having the proper competency level, that will lead the person to stress. So one has to work on the competency level, one has to work on the time management. In the advanced trait of leadership, I mentioned this as the first or second point: time management, very important, because bad time management may lead people to stress, and this we have to work upon. So handling these things is very important for teacher leaders. Now they should also, they can negotiate and mediate. Yes, negotiation skills, good mediation skills are there with them. Their ability to assess, interpret, and prioritize department and teacher needs and concerns. Sorry. So they should know prioritizing their work. So yes, I call it very important. And usually students ask us in the classroom, no ma'am, this is very important, that is very, very important, what should I do now? I'm not able to study, not able to focus on my competition examination. Then how I answer them: please prioritize. Even Srimad Bhagavad Gita also gives us this one solution. There is no way to seek solution or answer. When you are puzzled with so many situations, just try to prioritize. This is at number one, this is at number two, this is number three. So they should also know this. They should be able to manage workload. As I have already mentioned this point, that pressure handling is required for them. Now, role of teacher leader. So here we have two different concepts to understand the role of teacher leader. One is the concept given by you can say this is Zenmer and Moller, and the other concept is given by Harrison and Killian. So in the words of Zenmer and Moller, we say in the year 2001, we said they gave us three main facets, three main pointers to understand the role of teacher leader. The first role, according to them, is that the leadership of students or other teachers. First, I repeat, leadership of students or other teachers. So, the role of a teacher leader is to lead whether they are students or the teachers. Means they play the role of facilitator, coach, or mentor. The second facet, which is given by Zanmer and Molet, that is, mm, yes, this is leadership of operational task, doing the leadership of what? Of the operational task. That means keeping the school organized, moving towards its goals, working for the betterment of the organization. Now, third facet given by them is leadership through decision making or partnership. So I again repeat, the first one is leading teachers and students. Second is leading or giving leadership to the operational task. And third one is leadership through decision making or partnership. And what kind of the decisions? Like, they can be the members or being the part of the membership of school improvement teams, having the membership of committees, instigators of the partnership with the business, higher education institutions. Okay, so the other, this is the learning educational associations and the parent teacher associations. So they are the part of these. So these partnerships. So these are the three main facets given to us by Zenmer and Mulle. Now, if we understand the other concept, through some other concept, the role of teacher leader, we find in the words of Harrison and Killen in 2007, they mention that there are several different roles being played by the teacher leaders. Which are they? That is, one is of resource provider, other is of instructional specialist, the next is of curriculum specialist, the next is of classroom supporter, learning facilitator, mentor, school leader, data coach, catalyst for change. As I mentioned in my first slide, lead to change. So teacher leaders are the catalyst for change. Learner, shape the culture of their school, improve student learning, and influence practice among their peers. So these are the several roles played by teacher leaders. Now, let's see how to develop teacher leadership. Now, we have talked so much about teacher leadership, and now a very important area, how to develop that. So, the very first point, if you see, you will find that these set aside for teachers to meet, to plan, and discuss issues such as curriculum matters, developing school wide plans. Like, a teacher leader doesn't sit alone and doesn't keep himself alienated. He sits with the members of the, you can say, the other members, other colleagues of the school or the organization, and work upon different areas like curriculum matters, maybe the lesson plans or the school wide plans, leading study groups, and something related to the higher education. Now, being freed, they can also develop themselves as teacher leader by being freed up for teacher leadership tasks. This I find very interesting and I want to discuss with you all. See, if you see very carefully, this is very important area because so many these days, whether they are the government organizations or the private ones, teachers are given so many tasks, so many assignments. Okay. And they are given all opportunities to be teacher leaders. But still, something is obstructing them, something is hampering them to be teacher leaders. What is that? They don't have time. They don't have time. So, why they don't have time? Because they are loaded with works and assignments. So now you may say that, see, this is need of the hour, and they need to be highly professional. They should be able to handle, because in the last slide we discussed about handling conflict, pressure, handling the energy. Yes, this is needed, but again, overloading of the task is not a good idea. So the government, institutions, the management has to understand and give some quality and healthy time to the teachers to develop themselves. Because if any at any course, their well-being is spoilt, their well-being is, disturbed, then what will happen? You all know what happens when somebody's well-being is disturbed. The person is not able to work in the in proper and healthy manner. The person is not able to take up the task uh, and becoming a leader. Are you getting it? So the person will perform in very mediocre way if the person is not having proper well-being. So the well-being and the mental health and the healthy environment is very important for teachers to make them or to develop them in leaders. This has to be understood by the organizations, government, the management. Now, give more time to collaborate with one another. Yes, rich and diverse opportunities for continuous PDPs, as I told you, professional development program. Again, I mentioned here, we expect them to develop their students. We expect them to play the role of teacher leaders, and we expect them to be part of so many PDPs. Now, what will happen? How is it possible? If they have healthy environment, if they are given the time for their own well-being, okay, if the task is distributed or delegated in the organization, in academic organization, in proper manner or in the rotational manner, and everybody's well-being is given equal importance, then I think it is possible to convert and to develop the teacher leaders. Improvement of teachers' self-confidence to act as leaders in the schools, mentoring, observation, peer coaching, and mutual reflection. We have discussed these areas. Now, there are some, the teachers who lead. So, what kind of the teachers lead? Let me just come up with this point that some of these points we have already discussed, but some are little new points, so we may take up them. That become inquirers into their own practice. So the teachers who lead in the organization, they are actually the inquirers. They inquiry and they explore. And as I mentioned previously, they explore the unexplored path. And this becomes the part and parcel and very much practice of their daily life activities. Right? And yes, the next point, teachers who lead, they take risk by expanding their own comfort zone. So they believe in coming out of the comfort zone, taking risk. So risk taking ability is part of their personality, which is part of every good leader's personality. They also inspire their peers through a continual struggle to improve their practices. So they inspire and influence the other beings, other fellow members of the organization. Now they work hard, very important. At this point, I mentioned when I was discussing this slide about Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So perseverance, hard work, these are the qualities of good leadership, and they, a good teacher leader also has the same. They organize novice and veteran teachers into communities of support. I mentioned that we all are mortal beings, and what will happen after we leave the organization, we leave this world, so that there should be other community members who are developed, okay, and the society. Society, organization, and the nation is above us all, and it the work should not, no show must stop. So no matter whosoever joins the organization, leaves the organization, comes in this world, goes from this world. So no work, no task, no project, and the no show must stop. The show must go on, and this only happens if the several teacher leaders are already developed. Moving ahead, there is only one point which I found important for you all. That is, the teachers who lead in the organization, they lead in different ways. They lead formally, they lead informally also, right? So it is not that in a very formal environment, like some meeting is taking place, some webinar, some seminar is happening, they are delivering some speech or presentation, and that time they are very good as leaders. No, informally also, when they walk, when they talk, they sit, they stand, okay, they carry themselves, they behave, the overall communication, body language, their lifestyle, way of living, everything should speak about themselves. So these all are the areas which are needed for good teacher leaders. Now, why should we focus on teacher leadership? I think we are at the end of the session. Very few slides are left, so I'll not take much of your time. This is why we focus on the teacher leadership. We have already discussed so many ideas that they benefit. This benefits of employee participation, right? We get more participation of employees in the organization, expertise about teaching and learning, acknowledgement, opportunities like that. And this is needed. Teacher leadership is also needed for building professional skills. So if professional skills are built or we want them to be built, then teacher leadership becomes important. Now, the next point is very, very important, and that point is teacher leadership is important for the sustainable improvement in school and classroom. Now, please understand this point that like some activities take place, some compulsions and code of conduct are there for the teachers, and all the things run very, very smoothly and with perseverance for 6 months or 1 year in the organization, right? Everybody is happy, the outcomes are good, the students are developed, teachers are also inspired, and everything happens the way you want to happen. But after 1 year, what happens? Maybe the same zeal, the same enthusiasm is not there with the teachers. So what I'm trying to say that whatever we do, whatever kind of the growth we expect, whatever kind of process we take up, is it sustainable or not? So this sustainability is very important thing. So will this school, this college, university, or the organization will run, in the same manner for years and years? Who is going to take this responsibility? So we have to design the plans. We have to create the healthy environment for teachers. We have to delegate and deliver the task in such a manner. We should have the open door policies, and the authority should be approachable. Authorities should empathize with the teachers. So if we create such kind of the environment, definitely there will be sustainable improvement in the academic organization. So we should work for that sustainability. Now, the last is enhance teachers' self esteem and work satisfaction. So, the teacher leadership is also important for enhancing the self esteem and job satisfaction of teachers. So if somebody works with leading skills, with authority, with and they are acknowledged for what they have done, they are given credit for what they have done. Definitely, there will be job satisfaction, because money and the salary is not the only thing which can satisfy the teachers. So job satisfaction and the good self esteem comes when there are not only teachers but teacher leaders. Now, I think there are some more points that improving teacher leadership is also important for improving the life chances of students in disadvantaged schools. So, like maybe the schools are there for disabled people, disabled students. So, definitely the life chances of these students will improve. This is also important for involvement in decision making. Yes, teachers will be involved in decision making of the school. It decreases in teacher absenteeism. So why teachers are absent? Because they are not given equal importance. They are not given credit and acknowledgement for their work, and this weakens the job satisfaction, work satisfaction, and they become absent and they disappear from the many important events. So I think this will decrease. And this is also important for encouraging the introduction of reform. So a reform will automatically come in the school organization, in the academic organization, students' holistic development, and colleagues' well-being. This is also important for cultivating a largely untapped resource for change and improvement in schools. So maybe there may be several areas which are untouched, which are untapped. So if because this is the cross-cultural, you can say the community we have in schools and colleges, and this cross-cultural diversity brings a different kind of uniformity in these places. Yeah, I think you agree with me, all of you, that the people coming from belonging to different strata and coming from different places, they have very innovative ideas. So if they are given place and space, right, an environment to use those innovative ideas, so you can understand that very untapped and the untouched areas, resources will be tapped upon, and new things, new outcomes will come up. And finally, we have a point that says that it frees principals from unrealistic expectations. So, yes, unrealistic expectations are there in the minds of the authorities, and that can be reduced if teachers come in their proper role, in their role of the leaders. So, they can raise their voice, they can be vocal, and they unrealistic. The pseudo, expectations may come down. Now, there are several barriers in developing teacher leadership. What are these barriers? First is egalitarian values among teachers may militate against any teacher presenting him or her as a leader. Now, this egalitarian value, let me explain this. This means the equality. I'm talking about equality. Egalitarian means treating people equally. So, like everybody is equal. This is a very good idea, So, good idea for the social and societal fraternity. It's good. But so far as concerned, the leadership, the concept of leadership, this is not good. We say we all are equal. We should be given equal tasks. We should be given equal weightage. If this happens, then nobody would be coming up and nobody would be performing the role of leader. Being ostracized by their colleagues, yes, lag pulling is there. Oh, you are a leader. You have been given, so you are only important. Go ahead and do this. So such lag pulling stop them to be leaders. Loss of connectedness to peers when engaging in teacher leadership. So, if they are engaged in leadership tasks, leadership performances, then they are a little higher than their fellow colleagues, and this may hamper their proper synchronization and coordination with other beings, other fellow members, and that may be a problem. Hesitant, yes, if you are hesitant, you are not vocal, that may be a problem for you to be a leader. Top down management structures in schools. So this hierarchy, yes, I mean, to reach and to raise your voice to the higher authority, I mean, you have to cross so many hierarchical levels, and that may hamper the process. Now, fear and uncertainty. Now, yes, any kind of fear and uncertainty, yes, very much like losing the job, not getting the appraisal, increment. So that fear, that uncertainty, see if I'm going to be hostile, if I'm going to be little rebellious. If I raise my voice, I may be taken up as a rebel. And if I'm taken up as a rebel, then what will happen? I will, lose so many things: name, fame, increment, appraisal, promotion. So this fear may stop them. Selection of roles, yes. Lack of trust between staff, credibility with teacher colleagues, delineation of responsibilities between teachers and the administrators. So this delineation means, this means indicate the exact position, of the people. So, like, somebody is an administrator, somebody is higher in the hierarchical level, so higher in the authority, and that's stop a person. No, this is not my job. This is the job of some other person. So this kind of the thing also stop you and finding the right structure. So all these are the barriers which stop you to be teacher leader. Now, this slide says that some, there are some factors. See, another 5-7 minutes, I'll wind it up, right? So, yes, there are some slides. So let us complete in a proper way. I don't think that you are in hurry and you want to wind it up early. So let's just take up 5-7 minutes more. So certain factors are there that impact the student performance. What are these? So a teacher leader has to learn to trust the intellectual ability of students. A teacher leader also has to learn, I mean, practice information sharing with them and monitor their performance from time to time. So if the teacher does all these things, then definitely it will impact the performance of the students. Now, very quickly, I tell you this ladder here, and this ladder speaks about different kinds of leadership. The first is the position based leadership, where you are always uh, saluted, or you are given importance and people follow you just because of your position in the authority. Second is they follow you. People follow you because they want to. So, I mean, they have the self permission. Third is production based. That means people follow you because you have done for something for the organization. Then the next is people development, that people follow you because what you have done for them. I mean, you have done something for them, you have developed them, and this is the reason they follow you. And the last is personhood. That means people follow you because of who you and what you represent. So these different levels, these are five different levels of five different types of leadership. And finally, the fourth and fifth one, three are the basic ones, and fourth and fifth one are the higher leadership types. This I'm skipping because this may be skipped for future leadership. Now, here is a small story for you of Mr. Rishi Sunak, because that is a case study, you can call it. And through this personality, I have tried to explain you something about the good leadership. Mr. Rishi Sunak, he doesn't require any introduction, but still I give you brief that he was born in 1980 in Southampton, UK, and studied in Oxford University. Now we know Mr. Rishi Sunak as millennial politician, a non-white elected Prime Minister of Britain. Okay, his grandparents shifted from India to North Africa and there to UK in the year 1960. Now this man is, a true example of good leadership, and he has taught us some winning lessons of leadership. Let's see. He says, according to him, feel good about yourself. That's very important. That is the first thing. I mean, work upon, as I mentioned previously, work upon your well being, your mental health, your physical health. Take up, yourself, your soul, your body, very important. And feel good about it. Then he says, believe in yourself and your dreams. You cannot say that I don't believe in myself. So, whatever you dream, you have to have deep faith in your dreams. Basically, this man, his family was behind him, and they dreamt very big things about him. And the result is before us that we have seen him as a prime minister of Britain. Risk taking ability. He has also said the same thing, that take risk to make your dream a reality. We have talked about this. Have a clear vision and mission. This man had a clear vision and mission, and this is the reason he has reached up to this level. He was a very normal fellow, a student of Oxford University. I mean, the legacy coming from India, okay, having no particular legacy there, legacy of UK, that particular nation, right? But still, he has done so much good. Now, further, he says that share your goal with the people, with the team members, and give them importance. Yes, the same thing has come up, that be with your team and empower them. Do not, put them down. Do not try to pull their legs. Do not try to just condemn them for whatever has happened. Be with them, support them, be assertive, and come along with them. Make powerful and heart winning speeches, heart moving speeches. And this is one image of the first speech delivered by him after becoming Prime Minister of Britain. Be a good listener and be open and creative in your approach. Okay, so listening skill is very important. If you are a good communicator, you have to be a good listener first. Collaborate and win the competitors. Now, the second person in this image is Liz Truss, who was this opposite, who belonged to the opposite party to Mr. Rishi Sunak during elections. Be youthful, fit, and healthy. Yes, as I brief you that he became English cricket royalist. He is very much fond of football and movies and exercises. So he believes in keeping himself fit and healthy, and he advises the same to others. Be proactive. Don't react under pressure. What matters is what is inside you. We have discussed this point of handling the energy, pressure, and conflicts. So he supports that. Never neglect your family. Now, this is his family, two, beautiful daughters, young wife, Miss Akshita Murthy, daughter of Mr. Narayan and Sudha Murthy, and he loves them a lot, and he says to be with the family, to be a family man. Begin with the end in mind. I mean, thinking out of the box, thinking creative, unleashing your creativity. Okay, so these areas, these all pointers we have discussed. And this is the last slide. But before the last slide, I would also tell you about the challenges which he came across in his life. There are several challenges. Like, initially he served as a waiter. Then there was the Partygate scandal, a big challenge for him. Then the non-domicile status of his wife, Akshita Murthy, that became a challenge for him. And his resignation finally led to the resignation of UK's Prime Minister, Mr. Boris Johnson. So despite of all these challenges, he never gave up and he kept on moving, kept on smiling, kept on winning, kept on leading the hearts of people. And with this, I end up this session. Keep smiling, keep winning, and keep leading. Thank you so much. Over to you, ma'am.